And then he turns to his wife and said, "Dear, we need somebody lighter to fly this airplane." So his wife, Almina, sat in the pilot seat.
Hey guys, Matt Canzone with Canzone Chronicles. I got a great one for you today, right from our home state, Ohio. This glider behind me has a huge piece of history. It's called the Martin glider. Let's do this video. Come on, let's get it. Hey, I'm here with Reed Kimball, and he's gonna talk to us about the Martin glider. Thanks for joining us today. We really appreciate it.
The Martin glider is the oldest airplane in our inventory here at the museum. It was actually built in 1908 by a local farmer. His farm is about 7 miles from here in down what was then Canton, but it's now downtown Canton, Ohio. He was an aviation enthusiast, as many of us were as little kids, and as a little boy he was making models. But at the time, in the 1880s, he was making bottles out of paper and balsa wood. We have a replica of one of the first models he made. Right. It was also the first mono-winged airplane ever made. And this model in 1886
and mono-wing means
single wing.
Single wing all the way, all one continuous piece.
Now we have a biplane down in the corner, we have a triplane right here.
Got it.
In 1886 he's building airplanes with one wing that are powered by 2 counter-rotating propellers. But in 1908 he decided to take his concept farther because he'd already patented the model. There was no market for it at the time. So in 1908 in his barn, which is pictured right here,
and that is the exact original airplane with very little modifications and upgrades. I mean, it's exactly how it was back in 1908.
But in January of 1909, he and his sons pulled that out of the barn. He added to his wheels skis because the wheels weren't going to work. So they towed it up to the top of a hill behind the barn. Now, get an airplane to fly, you need to get lift, which means the airplane has to be moving. In 1909, farmers didn't have tractors. What did they have to pull their horses? So what they did...
That was real horsepower, by the way, back then, ladies and gentlemen.
They hooked their plow horse Billy up to the front of this airplane by a piece of rope. Mr. Martin sat in that wide piece of wood, which was the pilot seat at the time, and his son tapped Billy on the behind, and Billy ran off down the hill. He got it up in the air on his first flight. It got up to 25 feet, which is the height we've got that airplane hanging right now.
It's the exact height that he got it up to. Wow.
The first flight lasted 200 feet before the horse got tired. Starts slowing down while you start losing lift. He brings it in for a landing. And then he turns to his wife and said, "Dear, we need somebody lighter to fly this airplane." So his wife, Almina, sat in the pilot seat, towed her up in the air. Her flight went up to 30 feet and lasted 300 feet. Almina Martin was the first American female pilot of a heavier-than-air aircraft in this country, right here in Canton, Ohio.
That's amazing history. Wow.
Now, he flew it a number of times for practice, but in the spring, they took it to Morris Park, the World's Fair. Now, they didn't take the horse, obviously. So Henry Ford donated a Model T automobile.
Oh, that's amazing.
Okay.
Wow. It's funny how things all come together when they're supposed to, you know, when you're supposed to meet your destiny. Now, real quick over here, this model has propellers on it. This one doesn't.
As a farmer, he was not wealthy enough to buy an engine or propellers.
Got it.
So the only power he has was his horse or a car.
So this was his dream.
That was his dream.
This was his dream, and then this was the reality.
In September of that year, Martin's 8-year-old granddaughter flew this airplane, become the youngest pilot in the world. In 1929, a senator from Ohio coordinated with the Smithsonian Museum, and the airplane was taken to Washington, D.C., the Smithsonian.
This glider
That airplane. It was displayed
one.
right next to the Spirit of St. Louis.
That whole family was a family of pioneers.
Yes.
Everybody. From the husband, the wife, and the child, right?
In 1957, because of advances in aviation, there was no more room for this. So they took it down, disassembled it, and put it in a storage building, and sort of forgot about it. In 1975, or 1973 actually, the board of directors of the McKinley Museum found out it was down in Washington and wanted it back here. So they contacted the Smithsonian and asked for it back because of its local history. Well, there was some problems because the Smithsonian couldn't find it where they stored it, and it took them 3 years. So in 1978,
gotta love the archives.
This airplane arrived in Canton to the McKinley Museum. It was basically a box of cloth and a box of sticks and no instructions. So the McKinley staff put it back together the best they could from the pictures they saw.
Pictures, yeah.
They rebuilt their display room in 1980. They didn't have enough room for it, so they disassembled it and put it in their storage building. And one of our members in 2002
of the Maps Museum.
Maps Museum discovered it was there and asked if we could display it up here. So we got a box of cloth and a stack of sticks, and we put it back together. And
how long did it take?
It took about 6 months.
6 months. Jeez, oh man. That's one heck of a puzzle.
And it's been displayed here ever since. A piece of local aviation history.
Flying Rubik's Cube based on the history of putting it together. So you missed the most important part. Who laid eyes on this? Exactly.
The Wright brothers wanted to learn more about mono-winged airplane, and particularly the 2 diagonal wings.
Okay.
One of the problems that the Wright brothers had with their original 2 was roll control.
Because they were making their own glider.
They were making biplanes.
Okay, got it.
These 2 diagonal wings means that the airplane cannot roll over. Once you get it up to a certain angle, the top wing stops flying, and it brings the airplane right back to level flight again. But it was unique for the time.
Now, the Wright brothers, when they laid eyes on this exact glider, where was it at that point?
Right here in Canton.
Because right here in Canton, Ohio.
At the farm.
And the purpose of the rubber versus the solid, looks like solid wood, was because that probably took most of the brunt of the landing initially. Because it was probably
tires. You always land on your main landing gear. The nose wheel, because it had to move, was a different concept. So he came up with a unique solution. If you ever seen an early 1900s bicycle with a great big wheel in the front,
absolutely.
Guess what happened to the little wheel in the back? It's right there.
Oh, he repurposed.
He repurposed the back wheel.
For a bicycle. And what's funny about that, the Wright brothers were originally bicycle shop owners, correct? In Dayton, Ohio. So he's using bicycle parts on an airplane that the Wright brothers got to see because the Wright brothers were bicycle shop owners. That's so crazy.
But in a period of 60-some years, we went from that to the F-16 outside.
And that's how fast technology moves. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed that video as much as I did. It was a lot of fun. And to support us so we can keep doing more things like this, subscribe down below. And if you want to watch last week's video, click right here. And if you want to watch any of the other videos, click right down here. And we'll see you later. And remember, be honorable and keep history alive.